On air. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Trade, Commerce, and Tourism Committee. I'm Councilwoman Janice Hahn, and I'm joined by no one. Actually, I believe Bill Rosendahl is on his way. I'm not sure if Councilmember LaBonge, he's not going to be making it. So we are going to be holding the item 2 on the desk until Councilmember Rosendahl gets here, but we'll go through the rest of the items and see if we can get through this meeting. I apologize for being late, like everybody else out there. It was a very difficult commute this morning. Okay, so we'll start with item number 1.
Under item 1, the Board of Airport Commissioners submits for council approval a contract with CompuCom Systems Incorporated for procurement of software and professional support services for Los Angeles World Airports. And this contract would allow the department to rejoin the city's ITA contract with CompuCom Systems. The CAO also has submitted a report and recommendation for approval of the contract.
Okay, good morning. So tell me what this is.
Council member, my name is Dominic Nessie. I'm the Chief Information Officer for Los Angeles World Airports. This is just it's a mass purchase contract, so we can purchase some Microsoft licenses, our antivirus software, and just our basic software that we purchase each year.
Do you have anything to say?
Andrew Mills, CAO, recommend approval.
Okay. What is the Minority Women-Owned Business Enterprise Program participation goal in?
0.6%, I believe.
And what will the participation be? Is that what it will be under this?
Right. This is basically just purchasing software. There's very little opportunity. Sometimes we'll purchase some services to go along with just the actual installation of software, but we almost always do that on our own.
Okay. All right. Well, the board has approved it, and you're both recommending it, so we'll move that forward at this point, and maybe we'll wait for, at this point, it would just be communication from the chair, right?
It'd be communication.
Right. Okay. Okay, thank you. Well, so we're not, just keep going, but still hold it to the end. Okay. All right, item 3.
Under item 3, the Board of Harbor Commissioners submits for council approval an agreement with Los Angeles Maritime Institute for city sponsorship of the Institute's Top Sail Youth Program. This would be in the amount of $350,000 per year over a term of 3 years, or a total funding of $1,050,000. The CAO also has submitted a report and recommendation for approval of the sponsorship agreement.
Hi, good morning.
Councilman.
Janet. In the cities? Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Michael Hale from the Port of Los Angeles. This agreement is continuing the relationship the Port has had with LAMI and Topsail. It is a 3-year agreement, as noted. There's a slight change. We're reducing the number of voyages this year to 20. And
Now, your name again for the record?
Michael Hale.
And you represent?
The Port of Los Angeles Public Relations.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, we're reducing the number of tours.
Why?
Budget constraints.
With who? The port?
Yes.
What kind of budget constraints?
We reduced the overall spending on our sponsorship programs this year, and have asked all of our agencies we sponsored to have a smaller participation of the port in their sponsorship programs.
And what do you think that was a wise decision? Hello, Tom LaBonge. I didn't think you were coming.
Well, no, but I changed my plan.
Oh.
It's raining.
Oh, welcome.
Based on our budget constraints, it was the decision that was imposed upon us by the market forces. And our
Well, I of course disagree with that.
I understand.
Completely. I think one of the few things that the port does in terms of really giving back to the community is helping to sponsor things like Top Sail, which is very much in line with what we do at the port. We do ships, we do sailing, we do, I mean, that's really within, you know, your core mission. And I believe very strongly in the Top Sail program. This is where we're taking, you know, kids from all over. Many kids have never even seen the ocean. It's run by a group of volunteers, and it's changed lives of kids. I'm sure if we had LAPD coming up here testifying, they would say it's programs like these that keep kids from joining, you know, gangs. It's programs like these that, you know, will reduce crime. And
Although
so it's really disappointing that you're cutting back on your
Our
sponsorship.
sponsorship's reduced, but through the Trade Pack Mitigation Fund, we've provided a $771,000 grant to Topsail to retrofit the Ipswich, one of our brigantines, and also provided another $85,000 for programming. So although our sponsorship's been reduced, our overall commitment to Topsail, I think, is continuing to be demonstrated.
Well, the thing about the trade pack mitigation, I mean, that's going to be in the future.
It's the payment, the initial payment is being processed currently, so.
Is this about for repairing the
Yeah, there's
Swift?
$85,000 for program monies, and the balance of fund is for repairing the Ipswich.
And how much? And I have understood that Ipswich is, or this is it the Swift or the? Is it the? It's the. It's a Swift.
At Ipswich, yes.
And it's been repaired, correct?
I think the money we're providing is a
Is
reimbursement.
this the one you saw, Jenny?
Yeah.
It is repaired. It's I believe it's in dry dock.
Yeah, I think they're.
And I believe they're waiting for your payment before they can release it. Is that correct?
That's correct. And as I understood.
What's the
from-
status of that payment?
It's in process. We've received the invoice, and it's going through our accounts payable.
How long is your process?
Our process, I can't speak to our process, but it usually takes 2 weeks from the receipt and processing.
Well, I've heard that the boat has been repaired and it's sitting there and it's waiting to get back on the ocean, but they're waiting for your payment.
Understood.
You think you could expedite that payment?
I have investigated, and I think it's out of our hands and gone to the controller's office for processing.
Oh, it's in the city controller's office,
Or the sheriff's office.
the sheriff's office. So it's in the city controller's.
As I understand it.
Okay, well, Ms. Gruhl, if you're listening to us, we hope you will process that check as quickly as possible. There's a boat waiting for that payment. Well, I don't know what to say. It's disappointing, again, that you've reduced your sponsorship. I think Top Sail has proven itself over the years to be such a fine program. And every voyage that now it is not going to be able to take, I think it's kids who are going to really be the losers in this. So, you know, my recommendation is always that you would restore the original funding to Top Sail. I think it's a program that makes sense. We know that cargo has gone up in June, July, and August. In fact, we had a record high in June since we've, you know, over the last decade. So cargo is coming back up. And, you know, your budget constraints, you know, are one thing, but the revenue is coming into that port. And I think this was a decision that was made, you know, in my opinion, it's short-sighted.
So noted.
So if I would, you know, hopefully you'll go back and see if you can restore the funding to Top Sail. I think this is really a travesty. A port like you, who, you know, really could do better, in my opinion, of giving back to the community, particularly for the Top Sail program. It really depends on you for its livelihood. Yes.
Well, no, Ms. Hahn, I just want to be supportive of Ms. Hahn, but I understand everybody has a stretch. You know, we have those discussions at home, obviously in government, at the port. But is there anything, like they created this 1% for the art, is there anything you could identify in the port that would be said, you know, 1% for community,
Mm-hmm.
would be something that would be within the stride of business, that you could then earmark that it's a revenue source for the good of the community, because I think the more the port does for the community, the more the community will be supportive of the port. So if you could look at that, I would appreciate it.
Very good.
Okay.
That was actually one of the things I wanted to do if I had been successful for Lieutenant Governor was on the State Lands Commission. I was hoping to try to create legislation for ports up and down this California to take 1% of their revenue and put it back into programs that support the community, that help mitigate, port operations. I
It'd
think
be 1.1%. I mean,
2%.
Well, that's 2. But I'm just saying it could be 0.5%, and it's a lot of money. And I'm just saying, whatever it is, you should identify that, because in the future, I think our success will be when we identify these revenue streams that get us through the bad times, that there's a constant flow. So I support you, Ms. Hahn.
Thank you. Well, I guess we'll approve this, but with disappointment, and you can take that message back.
Very good. I will.
Okay.
Is there a motion? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve with disappointment.
With disappointment, big D or small D?
Big D.
You want to hold this? You got a couple commissioners coming through here soon. You may want to.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you can hold it, discuss it. Just a thought.
Well, what's the time? I think they're we don't want to. We're there. The SWIFT is waiting for payment.
Got it. Okay.
It's in dry dock waiting for their payment.
Move approval with disappointment?
Yes.
Move approval with disappointment.
Thank you. So moved.
Okay, is that a word, Mr. Clerk, we could add? Like move approval with note and file, move approval with it? All right, let the CLA know, so note it. Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item 4. By the way, Mr. Labange, we're holding item 2, the security audit,
Yes.
on the table until Councilmember Rosendahl gets
Right,
in.
that's very well.
Okay.
Under item 4, the Board of Harbor Commissioners submits for approval the Fourth Amendment to a contract with Stanzler, Funderburg, and Castellan LLP, a contract for legal services to assist in City of Los Angeles versus Kinder Morgan Energy Partners, wherein the city is seeking recovery of costs for environmental remediation. The contract amendment would recognize a change in the corporate structure and the name of the contractor, which is now known as Castellan and Funderburg, and would extend the contract term by 18 months for a total contract term of 7 years, ending on August 13th, 2012.
Good morning, Ken Matfeld, Deputy City Attorney.
Good morning.
It's just an extension, a no-cost extension, because we're still stuck in court waiting for proceedings at the Regional Water Quality Control Board.
Now, what's this about again? Can you summarize
Clean
this
up
case?
the old Gatex Kinder Morgan terminal at Berth 171, ongoing now for 5+ years.
And are we fighting over whose responsibility it is to clean it up? Or the scope of cleanup?
Yes, I mean, I've got a settlement with former first tenant was Texaco.
Right.
And they agreed to pay 25% of the cleanup cost. I've got a settlement with second tenant, which was Conoco. They've agreed to pay 15% of whatever it costs. And it's just Kinder Morgan is the holdout, saying that, even though they had a 7,000 barrel spill once upon a time,
Oh.
they captured all that, and so, they shouldn't be held responsible, and whatever oils there came from the neighbors, and that the cleanup standards are too strict. So they've actually petitioned the State Water Resources Board, sort of an appeal. They're appealing the cleanup standards set by the regional board.
So is this going to trial?
Well, in the litigation so far, the trial judge will not let us proceed. She has wanted to resolve the proceedings before the regional water board.
I see.
We go
I
forward.
see.
However, I do have a motion pending that'll be heard, I hope, October 22nd, that says, let's just forget the water board. Let us proceed on our common law claims for nuisance and breach of contract.
Is cleanup currently happening at the site?
No, we
Oh.
did get, it took the regional board this long, but just April of this year, they approved our proposed cleanup plan, our remedial action plan. And so there's just one more piece of the puzzle, which is a sampling and analysis plan. I expect approval of that at any time now, and then that will probably have an implementation deadline.
So we haven't started doing that work.
Now, what we've done is just to keep oil from going into the harbor, we've dug a trench behind the rocks, and we skim it on a weekly basis, and that keeps the oil sheen from coming out through the rocks.
And remind me again of what the Harbor Department's plans are for this site once it's cleaned up?
Likely would be an extension of the Pasha Break Bulk Omni Terminal, which is right next door. This is sort of across the street from
Right.
Borax there on.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So we're just approving a extension.
18-month extension and a name change. They dropped Mr. Stansler from the firm.
Okay. Without objection, should we approve that? Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 5, the Board of Harbor Commissioners submits for council approval an ordinance approving a board order which includes a declaration of surplus property and approval of a conveyance or grant deed for transfer of real property which is located at 25th Street and Alameda Street in the city of Vernon and this is a property to be transferred from the city to the Alameda Corridor Transportation Authority. The authority then plans to combine a number of parcels and sell the property as surplus. CAO also has submitted a report and recommendation for adoption of the ordinance and approval of the grant deed for the surplus property.
Okay.
Good morning, Mike Galvin, Director of Real Estate with the Port of Los Angeles. The proposal is one of a series of conveyance deeds in between the Port and ACTA to rationalize our disposal of properties that were left over after the Alameda Corridor was built. And we're coming up to the end of those property disposals. And this one is a situation where the Port bought the joint right-of-way and had excess property associated with that. Alameda Corridor needed another property next to that to build actually where the Alameda Corridor goes underground. And both of those properties are no longer needed for the operations of the corridor. Therefore, they're being assembled together to get the best price for them, and they'll be sold through the surplus land statute requirements.
So who owns them right now?
The joint ports own one of them, and Alameda Corridor Transportation Authority owns the other one.
Okay. And so what are we doing here today?
We're going to convey the joint ports property to the Alameda Corridor Transportation
Okay.
Authority so they can put them together and then sell them through the surplus land statute requirements.
And then what do we get out? What does the port get out of it?
Then there's an agreement between ACTA and the ports for the port to get the money back for their portion of the property.
For what you paid, or
Proceeds.
for the from proceeds of the sale?
Based on the square footage that we put into the sale.
And does this go to the board, the ACTA board,
It would go to the ACTA board as well,
eventually?
eventually, because the ACTA will have to put the surplus land sale together, and then they'll have to get approval to the board for that.
And and now our Harbor Commission has acted on this?
Yes.
Has the Port of Long Beach?
Yes, they have.
They've acted on it?
Yes.
So once we act on it in City Council, then does the Long Beach City Council act on it?
I believe the Long Beach City Council has already acted on it through
Okay.
the Harbor Department.
Oh, okay.
Long Beach is.
And then it goes to the ACTA board, and then it happens?
Exactly.
Okay. Is this a good time to be selling this property?
It's a maintenance issue right now, and it is still a strong market industrially in the South Bay and the surrounding.
What do you mean by it's a maintenance issue?
It's an ongoing maintenance issue. The ports and ACTA have to maintain the properties, have
So
to
it's
deal
a-
with trespass. It's a continual cost issue, and
So
the
you-
market, although is not as strong as it was 3 years ago, it is still a strong industrial market because, as you said earlier, the ports are continuing to push through cargo, and it's not a horrible time to sell.
So you guys are thinking this is a good time to sell it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions,
This is,
Mr. LaBonge?
Is this the old South Central Farm?
No, this is that property.
Where is it?
This is on 25th and Alameda in the city of Vernon.
Well, it's closed.
It's close by. It's not far.
Well, you laughed at
Well, I was laughing because of the original,
Yeah.
mess we got in with the
Well, right.
with the
right,
farm.
Right, I got it. But this is not that land. But
No, this is not.
How many acres?
This is the port's property is about 1.5 acres.
So do you have a number? Because Ms. Hahn did mention, you said the industrial land is still hot.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a number that you wouldn't sell it for? I mean, if it, some people look like when we sell land, it's bargain basement, so they take advantage of it. Do you have a number that you could walk away from? I'd rather have us say, if you have an appraisal, and if it doesn't come close to your appraisal, make a management decision that we're going to hold on to it for a year.
That's part of the agreement between us and
Good.
ACTA, that if we don't achieve a certain threshold,
the
then
question.
it doesn't come back.
Good.
Okay. All right. So move approval? Mr. Labange?
Move approval.
Okay. Approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there much land you have that you could sell?
Okay, okay, we're back to 2 then. What's the ETA for Mr. Rosendahl? All those people, the coffee's here. That's a good sign.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and start.
You can approve item 1 now that you have another member.
Well, thank you, Mr.
Are you telling
Molina?
Ms. Hahn what to do?
Just making suggestions, Mr. Labange.
Hope so.
Yeah, we could do that. Why don't we, would you like to
Yeah.
move approval for item 1? Okay, we'll do that.
$17 million.
So approved. All right, item 2.
And item 2 is continued consideration of a motion by Rosendahl Zine, which proposes that the council ask Los Angeles World Airports to report to this committee on airport security efforts at LAX and on coordination with the LAPD. On August 4th, various representatives of LAWA reported to this committee on the security at LAX. Also, a member of the airport police reported that he had been meeting with LAWA and airport police representatives and that he felt his concerns about shortcomings were being addressed. Your committee asked LAWA to return within a month's time with recommendations for a third-party independent review of security-related practices at LAX and the city's other airports.
Thank you. Yeah, we were obviously had brought to this committee the discussion of staffing and budget for airport police. We'd heard some assertions that the budget priorities were compromising security at LAX. We'd heard a couple of council members had taken a late night tour of the terminals and were, we're not sure that we had the right law enforcement personnel in the right places. We've heard of this ongoing tension between LAPD and airport police. There was just a lot of allegations swirling around, so I thought it would be a good idea, and I called for this third-party independent security audit of our security, particularly at LAX, but I think that we included all of the airports, because I thought it was time, and we've had them before at LAX, and I thought it was time just to possibly lay to rest some of these allegations. But more importantly, have a real good, timely review and audit of our security practices from, an outside authority that could look at this. So that's what I called for. I thought it made sense. The mayor subsequently got into the mix and decided to appoint his own blue ribbon commission panel that would do just that. We'd also talked about bringing the Israeli group back to LAX. They've been here previously. They looked at our security. They made some suggestions. We kind of have an ongoing partnership with them and from Ben Gurion Airport. So we thought we could put them in the mix. So you're here today, Mr. Mike Molina, to tell us what can we expect in terms of time and scope and the reality of us doing this audit of our security practices at LAX.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Labange, Mike Molina, Deputy Director of External Affairs at Los Angeles World Airports, to give you a brief update since last we met in August to discuss the ongoing issues of safety and security at LAX in particular with our airport police. We agree wholeheartedly and continue to prioritize, as the mayor does and our commission does and executive management does, prioritize safety and security for all at LAX, including the 56 million passengers, the 40,000 or so of us who carry these badges, the airlines, as well as the cargo operations at LAX. It's very, very important to us. It is the number one priority for us of safety and security continually. That takes on a variety of different shapes and sizes. The last few days it has been increased awareness and increased presence in light of the European travel alert, and every week brings its own dimension and its own priority. The priority becomes more and more apparent. As insofar as the review or the audit that was called on, we know that concurrently the mayor has called on for this Blue Ribbon Commission, which of course we 100% support. We are aware that the mayor is now considering the list of candidates, and we hope that in the next couple of weeks that announcement will be made. We're also aware that that Blue Ribbon Commission will do its work and hopefully get to conclusions before the end of the year. We are aware that the Blue Ribbon Commission will include the work of the Israeli team that you just mentioned, Madam Chair, and how important it is to bring them back. They have a direct understanding of security and safety issues at LAX in their previous visits. Good morning, Mr. Rosendahl. In their previous visits, and it would be great for them to be included in that. We have discussed a scope of work that the Israeli team initially, but certainly the Blue Ribbon Commission, will be focusing on. That scope of work and review includes our perimeter protection, how LAX is safe using our perimeter fencing and the other types of safety measures that we have around our perimeter. Protection into the CTA itself, peripheral protection, how we address those who enter the airport proper. Personnel deployments, how we deploy airport police department, how they are viewed in public, as well as taking the various roles that they take outside of the public view, namely in cargo and the protection of the perimeters in the airfield. Access control, the whole ability to enter into sensitive areas of the airport and how our badging system works. Overall facility protection, which includes more than just the terminal, but it includes the cargo and other leaseholds that we have at LAX. Those critical facilities, the development of our ARC station, of the police station itself, and an overall command and control of the department. So those hopefully will be the areas that the Blue Ribbon Commission will be looking at. These priorities or the scope of work was put together when we had invited the Israeli team. In fact, we expected the Israeli team to be with us next week. Unfortunately, the head of the Israeli team, Nahum, who knows our airport probably the best, unfortunately suffered a heart attack last week. And while he was ready to get on the plane anyway, the doctors advised him not to. So we will postpone their visit, but actually that seems to work out even better because their postponement will work in collaboration with the upcoming appointment of the Blue Ribbon Commission.
How do you see this Blue Ribbon Commission conducting a security review?
Well, the details of the Blue Ribbon Commission, of course, will be up to the mayor because it's the mayor's office that is directing the work of the commission. We hope, we anticipate that many of the same scope of work points that we had identified will be the work of the commission itself.
And how are you working with the mayor in making suggestions for this Blue Ribbon Commission or the scope of work?
Outside of the
or do you see this Israeli group coming in and doing these 10 things as part of this or separate from this and collaboration with this?
We hope that these 10 things will be incorporated into the overall work of the Blue Ribbon Commission that the Israeli group will be part of. We are not directly working with the mayor's office in the work of the commission because I think there also remains a level of independence even from senior staff so that the commission can actually do the work that we want them to do to remain as independent, as third party as possible. And we rely and we have great confidence that the mayor's office through the public safety division of the mayor's office will conduct a thorough and independent review.
Do we have anybody here today from the mayor's office? Can you care to come up and speak on this?
Good morning, council members.
Good morning.
Neeraj Nagar, Policy Director, Mayor's Office, Homeland Security, Public Safety. I believe Mr. Molina covered most of what I would say anyway. If there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
How do you see the Mayor's Blue Ribbon Commission? Who do you see as being on the Mayor's Blue Ribbon Commission? How would they conduct this independent security review?
The list is being finalized. An announcement will likely be made in the next 2 weeks. And once finalized, we'd be very happy to share the list with this committee.
Are there going to be security experts? Are these going to be?
It'll be made up of aviation, homeland security, and police experts.
Okay, and then they will, have you looked at the scope of work that the Israeli group is planning to undertake? And do you see that as being part of the Blue Ribbon Commission separately?
I personally haven't reviewed it, but they will be part of the panel, so I assume.
Has the mayor made up his own scope of work for the commission?
I believe it's being under review right now.
It's been what?
It's under review at the moment.
The scope of work?
Yes, I haven't seen it personally.
Are you offering as what's your title?
Policy Director.
Of Homeland Security?
Mm-hmm.
Have you put together your scope of work that you think would make sense for this independent audit of security?
Our office has put together some suggestions that, again, the mayor is reviewing currently.
You care to? You don't want to share those with us?
I can't. I don't think I'm able to share that at the moment. Once finalized, we'll be very happy to give this committee, yourself, an advance copy.
Right. I just, we get a lot of issues here, and we're very concerned, and we want to make sure that once, this has come to fruition, it really is what the public will be demanding, which is, again, a good, independent, third-party audit of security at LAX that will take into account, a lot of these issues that have been raised recently that have caused concern for the traveling public. I think have been a cause of concern for, I know, those of us on this committee. So we just want to make sure that we do this right when we do it.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
Public is going to demand that. Good morning.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Madam Chair, for the way you asked the questions just now on the Blue Ribbon Commission. Good morning. When I put this motion in, as did Dennis Zine and I, we were very concerned about what we were hearing about lack of coordination among the various policing agencies at the airport, and we were questioning if there is issues that we need to be concerned about, especially the public. And Charles Fellman and KNX really got out there and did a journalistic excellence in discussing the issue and bringing it before us. So we filed this motion asking for information regarding media reports concerning LAX Police Union regarding security at the airport. What is the bottom line? Is the airport safe?
Yes.
Second question, what is the crime rate at LAX? What was it last year, and how does it compare to other areas in Los Angeles?
Year over year, statistics of crime rate is down 7% at LAX. Year over year. We don't have a statistic. We've never done a statistic of comparing that citywide or even to the Pacific Division. We certainly can do that.
And I'd like a report back on it. How does the crime rate at LAX compare to peer airports across the country?
It's interesting you asked that, because I was just speaking with the chief of police, and that is a project that chiefs of police overseeing airports are undertaking right now, of comparing crime statistics, especially in major airports within metropolitans. There are major airports, for example, Denver, that is so outside of the metropolitan, it's not the same kind of an apples-to-apples comparison.
Right.
But major airports within metropolitans like Chicago, New York, and ourselves, that kind of review is undertaking right now.
And when do you expect the analysis?
I can ask the chief and let you know.
Okay, we'd like a report back on that. What is the total operating budget for LAWA PD, and how does it break down in terms of cost per airport officer?
The total budget is $100 million. How does it break down per officer?
Yeah, well, and then the next question would be, do you have a sense of how the cost per officer compares to what the LAPD per officer is? Do you have any sensing of that?
We can figure that out for you.
Yeah, we'd like to know that.
Sure.
LAPD officer versus, or in conjunction with the LAW officer. Mm-hmm. Are airport officers trained differently than those at other police departments?
The Airport Police Department is trained at the Los Angeles Academy alongside LAPD.
Los Angeles Police Academy.
Police Academy, thank you, sir. Alongside our LAPD officers. And following graduation from the police academy, there is specialized training that is offered at the airport, continued training for the police department, the airport police department, in collaboration with the FAA, the TSA, and CBP.
Saying that, do they have aviation security specific training? If so, where is that training conducted? And does LAPD participate in that as well?
I don't know about LAPD, sir, but I know that the training itself takes place at the airport, and it is conducted in collaboration with our federal partners.
In one of the reports, there was a suggestion by the media that the Transportation Security Agency, that's the TSA, had concerns regarding LAWA PD. Can you clarify that report, and has TSA gone on the record to respond to that?
They have not gone on the record. I have not seen those concerns. I know that the new federal security director at TSA meets regularly with the leadership of the airport police department. In particular, the collaboration between our new assistant chief, Ethel McGuire, and the new FSD, who have known each other for 20 years, because they both have FBI backgrounds, has greatly increased the level of communication and collaboration between the two agencies. I think it's a strong collaboration, and I know of no complaints from the leadership of TSA relative to airport police at this time.
My last question is, what airport security performance indicators would you consider most appropriate and important for us to review as part of the Blue Ribbon Commission?
Probably the list that I could have gone through the list before you entered, sir. There are a number of areas that we would consider to be vital in a scope of work for any future review. And it would be a scope of work, of course, that we'll share with the mayor's office as they put together the final elements of the Blue Ribbon Commission.
I just want to acknowledge in the room we have Chief Debbie McCarthy from the Bureau that includes Andy Smith, the commander, and Captain John Peters from the Pacific Division. And if any of the three officers would like to comment about their coordination and cooperation with the airport police, I'd like to hear it at this time. Good morning, Captain Peters.
Good morning, sir. I just had some information relative to some of the crime statistics that we keep. The numbers that I'm talking about include the reporting district that we identify as RD 1494, which primarily is the airport and some of the immediate areas just surrounding. Our numbers are a little bit different in terms of what Mr. McGuire spoke to as terms of our decrease year to date for our Part 1 crime. We're showing about a 10% decrease for our Part 1 crime for that area, comparing year to date numbers. To give you an idea.
And what do you describe as that area?
I don't have the specific boundaries, but it's basically the airport proper, Imperial Highway, Pershing. I'm not exactly sure how far east it goes. It may include some of the Manchester Square area, but it's primarily the airport and the surrounding areas.
But it could include Manchester Square?
I believe there could be some parts of it, yes, that extend out to there, but
Because that's like a whole different weather pattern.
Yeah, mostly what we see in terms of our crime there obviously are, the thefts, and that's primarily what drives our crime in that area when it comes to Part 1 crime. But as you can see, I think, and as well as last time we spoke, we quoted some figures, but the crime is down, and I think that's important for everyone to realize when we look at the Part 1 crime numbers that the FBI and looks at so diligently. But in terms of, you asked a question how that relates to my overall crime for Pacific area. Yeah. Pacific area, as you know, Councilman, is made up of about 26 square miles. It's a big piece of territory. Have Westchester and Mar Vista and Venice, of course, the Palms area, all of those areas. So if you look at the percentage of Part 1 crime for that RD, it's about 8.5% of my overall crime for that 26 square miles. And again, that's primarily driven by the number of thefts that we see there. So.
When we did our walk around, Mr. Zine and I, we saw a lot of LAPD presence in uniforms, actually. We didn't see as much in uniform of airport police, but we obviously were aware they're undercovers as well as they were the brown uniform folks. How do you feel the cooperation between LAPD and airport police is at this point? We'd had some anecdotal discussions with some folks that were raising some issues of that.
You know, it's an ongoing issue for us. I would say that it could be better. It seems like we make progress in some areas, and then we reach some sticking points, and so I don't think it's where we would like it to be. I know that we're working very, very diligently to work with the folks in command at the airport, as well as the TSA, the FBI, and all of our federal partners. You know, our belief is that when it comes to safety and security, the interoperability components and the ability to come together and work effectively is essential. And so that's what our focus is at this point.
And at this point, Captain, do you see anything in particular we as electeds or you as an officer could do to bring that coordination and cooperation better?
I think that the issues that we're dealing with on our part currently, I think that with some of the new personnel that have been brought over to the airport command, the two new assistant chiefs, and dealing with their backgrounds and where they come from and their understanding of some of the issues that we're trying to address, I think that our hope is that process becomes easier and smoother and more effective for everybody.
Could you see value in the Blue Ribbon Commission and coordinating that?
I see value absolutely in the Blue Ribbon Commission in terms of the idea of having a third party come in of experts to take a look at all the issues there at the airport. I think that in some people's mind, there's always been some bad blood, perhaps, between the LAPD and the airport police about takeovers and that kind of thing. So that certainly isn't the intent of this current command over there. Our issues are only that we want to work in cooperation, and so having a third party come in, taking the LAPD out of it and allowing them to look at and identify what they see are not only some issues perhaps, but also the good things that are going on that we're doing. And there are good things certainly that we're doing together. But again, we believe that it could be better and should improve.
Let me ask you.
Chief McCarthy?
Yeah, let me ask. Do you meet regularly with airport police?
We
You have
do.
are you part of their roll call? Do you have weekly, monthly meetings?
We meet very regularly, ma'am. As a matter of fact, I have a subordinate captain that works at the airport for me, Captain Phil Fontanetta. He's actually on site there. Phil is very involved with all of their meetings. Phil is a nationally renowned expert in incident management. That's one of the reasons why we have him there. And a matter of fact, the reason he's not here today is that he's providing some incident management training not only to LAPD but also airport officers. And these are the things that really kind of build those bridges and bring people together so that when something does happen, a critical incident, that everybody is operating with a common operating picture. It's not the first time people are meeting each other.
Right.
Everybody knows what their roles are, and then we can move forward.
If there was a major incident, who would be the command officer or
it would be
agency?
It would be what we call a unified command, ma'am. And that's...
I've worked really hard for this title. Please call me Councilwoman.
It's a unified command, and so to that in that regard, it would be there would be several agencies that would be working in collaboration, and that's based on a national model that.
But who would be the? There would not be one person who would be.
It's a unified command.
It's TSA, Airport Police, LAPD.
Your name for the record?
Debbie McCarthy, Chief Debbie McCarthy, Operations West Bureau. TSA could be fire department.
Would it depend on the incident, or it's always a unified command?
It's always unified, but the people at the table or the people in command would depend on the incident. For the most part, it's Airport Police, LAPD, FBI, Fire.
We have Assistant Chief of Fire out there, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I just add that I've seen the incident command environment happen a number of times. It is one of the most impressive moments of collaboration between a variety of different organizations that are willing to sit at a table and take on an issue literally within minutes of an issue happening. It's extremely impressive.
Who can answer the question? What can LAPD officers do at the airport that, for instance, airport police cannot do?
I could answer that, ma'am. We have a MOA with the airport, and specifically what it identifies for us is that LAPD is responsible for all the follow-up investigation on crimes. In other words, all the detective follow-up stuff that occurs. Having said that, we do have some airport officers that are part of that team that does that, but that's pretty much the separation.
That's it.
We have if there's a bomb incident, our bomb squad responds to that. We have bomb canine officers in addition.
What limits the airport police in terms of their 830.1 status?
I believe I can't speak. I could guess, but I don't know specifically. Yeah.
We don't need to guess.
I have some idea, but
Yes, Mr. LaBonge.
Yeah, just a couple things. On airport police, do they work in plain clothes?
they have some people that are a part of our task force. Yes.
But working with you, like when UCLA has a West Side task force with Beverly Hills and Culver City, that type of thing, which they used to have. They used to. I mean, I'm just saying. When I say that too, sometimes a police agency wants to duplicate what a major police agency has. Right. A major police agency is a county sheriff's, a city police department, and an airport police. Is there any manual that talks about what an airport police agency should be? Does San Francisco Police handle San Francisco Airport, or does whom? Or San Diego?
Every airport is different. Some airports have a
Give me a report on that. I want to know that, if you would, at your convenience. Just find out.
There is a manual, though.
I've been to many commands in many situations, and there is that comes together there. But sometimes, too, it doesn't come together, you know. That all being said, I think it's a work every day you got to work to, and people define it. I know when the federal government comes in, it doesn't matter if you're whomever. The federal government will say they're in charge. So there's some defined lines real quick.
I would say it depends on the incident.
Yeah, it does. Depends on the incident. It also depends on sometimes the personality right at the moment, because it moves quick. And also the key is, in everything, is relationships. The fact that you have a captain there on the airport working shoulder to shoulder with airport police is an excellent management tool, which makes me have confidence. Now, I don't know the full details of your report, Mr. Rosendahl, but I know we could walk anywhere, any time of the day, and the team may not be in order. Anywhere, in a sense. But are they ready in a moment's notice to be in order? Probably. But I know I just was reading some emails here about people complaining about some of our colleagues in not our council and not our police agencies, but in other departments, and how they function and operate. That all being said, I think it's a constant readiness, and there's more pressure on the airport department because it is a place that does attract the current trend. You know, if the earthquake comes, that's going to be a natural disaster. If terrorism comes, that's a man-made disaster, but that reaction. So I would just hope, though, we have a very clear sense, but it is usually sometimes within minutes that they actually settle stack the cards on how it works. But the most important thing is what the captain said, is that he has a captain there who is the liaison, which wasn't the issue some years ago. It's advanced quite a bit, so I have more confidence in that. I do have problems when doors are shut, and the more on the fire side from getting out of a facility, and that was something that interested me in your report, Mr. Rosendahl, with Mr. Zine.
Let's just take an update. How are we on all those exits and entrances and everything else? Are we
The
checking
fire
them
department,
every day?
when are they there?
Everything is cleared, of course, at this point. We have we have increased inspections of each of those facilities through a new collaboration with the fire department to make sure that they're taken care of. Our operations division has implemented a new terminal manager concept, so there's one person who's in charge of the terminal that his or her duty each and every day is to walk up and down each of the terminals, both in the public as well as the non-public areas of the terminals, to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Thank you. Well, from my perspective, and I would, I don't know if my committee members would share this, but to the mayor and to the Blue Ribbon Commission and the scope of work, my suggestion is that you take these 10 items that we have from the Israeli peer review as being part of the scope. Also, I would like for the Blue Ribbon Commission to take a look at the CTI report, which also, I believe, looked at the right things when was that report done, by the way?
March of 2005.
That was a report that I believe had a good scope of work in terms of looking at coordination between LAPD and Airport Police. And I think what Mr. Labange just mentioned, hopefully this Blue Ribbon Commission will take a look at, obviously, if there is an incident, what does the unified command look like? What's the readiness look like? Those are the things that I believe, really are going to be part of looking at security and the readiness and the safety of LAX. So we want to make sure these things are in the mayor's Blue Ribbon Commission's scope of work. Can I have an agreement on that?
Yeah, you got that agreement. Also on that, they have, I think twice a year organized, and you probably have more. Drills. How often do you have drills? A number of times?
Yeah, there's a federal mandate for the drills, but we do a number of training exercises and actually have a plan to even build that out, even in a more robust form. And not necessarily that we have to have a major incident every time, but just things to test the readiness of not only the people at the airport, but the people at Pacific area in the western.
Right, and we're with the fire department and who comes in, and I don't know if El Segundo has a role in that, because I'm sure.
That would be only if we got into a mutual aid type of situation.
But I think we should look at all that, because I think there's going to be a big earthquake, or there may be a big other problem, and I don't want that either one. But Lucy Jones says it's going to happen.
Madam Chair, I totally agree with you putting it into the Blue Ribbon Commission. That's exactly right. But I just want to get a better appreciation of, A, the purpose of this Blue Ribbon Commission, the timetable of this Blue Ribbon Commission with its findings, and what do you see, meaning the mayor, as the purpose of this commission?
Sorry, I had some statements that I can read from. The mayor's goal is to have an independent study of security at the airport. The timeline is he has mandated that it be done by the end of the year. So it's something that's not going to be done in the long term, but will have an immediate result.
And in that Blue Ribbon Commission, are the questions going to be asked about coordinated security? Maybe the LAPD and LAWA have more protocols or an absorption of one into the other? I mean, what is he trying to get out of this commission?
We're not going into the commission with any preconceived notions, any mandated type of outcome, just to look at security at LAX to see what is the model that we have working, how can it be improved, what areas it can be improved at.
Mm-hmm. And as Ms. Hunt said in the initial questions about it, how will he determine who goes on it? Will we play a role in that? This would be something he picked, 5 members, 7 members, 10, 12, what are we looking at?
I don't know the final number, but the mayor is looking at the final list. These are the names that he has essentially chosen. And
has he been coordinating with Madam Chair?
I believe they had a conversation, but I don't.
Well, of course. I mean, this is news to me. I mean, I have not been involved in the coordination of this or awareness, other than I'm hearing a Blue Ribbon Commission.
Well, I think immediately after I called for the third-party audit, the mayor and I spoke, and the mayor talked about putting together a Blue Ribbon Commission that would function as the way that we get this third-party audit of security. I hope that we do not go into this with any kind of agenda, any kind of a political agenda. This is really about the safety and security at our airport, and that's what we hope we'll get out of it. So far, every audit that we've done out there has been positive. And I don't want to, fix anything that's not broken. But if there are things that are broken, then that's hopefully this commission will uncover that, discover that, and make recommendations on how we fix it. I hope we have on that commission, a representative from LAPD. I hope we have a representative from, TSA. I hope we have, a representative from the airport. Maybe we have a representative from a congressional office that looks at this. So hopefully we put people on there that really have the expertise, have the background, have the resources to look at this in a completely objective way to get us to the end goal.
Amen on that.
Amen. Okay.
Second that.
Thank you. So what are we doing with this item?
Continuing it for report back.
Is that what we're doing? Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. With that,
Thank you for your email on the other issue.
we're done. Anybody in the audience wishing to address this committee? If not, or seeing none, this committee is adjourned.